We are here on the Yall show, Jon Rawl, and we want to wish everybody a very good holiday weekend, 4th of July, 2020, and we're here to talk a little Toccopola storytelling time with our good friend and our southern compatriot, Jerry Short, and he is with me, and we're going to have a good time. Hello, Jerry, and happy 4th of July weekend to you,
John,
sir.
it's sure good to see you, buddy. I hadn't seen you since we've kind of been locked down.
Lockdown part 1, and we're about to enter part 2 for most of the South.
You sound like you know something.
Yeah, I think we all know what's going on. Unfortunate news.
It doesn't look real good, does it?
It does not look good at all, but we're going to get through this thing together. We've already gone through it once. We'll go through it again. But a lot of the South right now, Jerry, numbers are worse now than they've been since this virus started.
They sure are. Some of these old ghosts like me, we've really got to be careful.
Is that right?
Yeah. If the numbers on the age count for anything, I probably need to be real careful.
You think you're an old goat?
Just in age only.
Okay.
Rest of it don't apply.
Well, that's good to know with our Toccopola storyteller, Mr. Short here. How you been doing? I really hadn't seen you much.
Well, it's kind of been like everybody else, I guess. We're not locked down. We're just kind of come and go, but we got to be real careful, and you need to wear a mask to protect the other people that you come in contact with, and keep your spacing down. The same thing that the scientists and the doctors will tell you. And do that, and maybe we can all stay healthy.
But from what I understand from you, you're not the world's biggest fan of Dr. Anthony Fauci.
No, I think he may be a little bit overkill in this situation. Right? If I had to guess, he would be wanting it to extend to the election. That's just
conspiracy theory right here. Talking with our Toccopola storyteller.
Yeah, that's just kind of my opinion but he's been constant now. From day one, he's almost been at this same level. Let's stay locked down. Let's keep that mask on and do that. But our numbers really haven't been bad, but they seem to be coming up a little bit, that we've taken advantage of some holidays and situations like that. So let's don't keep in mind tomorrow and the next day and the next day and the next day may be a holiday. Let's honor those holidays, and let's don't overdo it. Just because it's on the calendar that way don't mean that we can pull anything extra off.
Well, for Jerry, for myself, and everybody in Y'all land, we've got an Independence weekend that we've never experienced before with this coronavirus. I asked you before, you're a little bit slightly older than me, and you've never in your years seen anything close to what we're experiencing right now.
No pandemic exposure of this type. I've had hepatitis, but that's a personal thing. Okay. And I drank out of a pond to get some filthy water to give me that. So, I live on the curb and fall off occasionally.
Yeah, you definitely do that.
But for all of us, I think we can kind of take care of each other through this thing. And if a member of your family gets it, keep that in mind. Stay locked down with them. Keep your children locked down. And let's be careful about the school situations. I've got a granddaughter that plays about 5 sports in an academy, and they've got one shut down now. The whole football squad shut down now from practice because one athlete had tested positive.
Gosh.
So they have to shut that down. Then they shut cheerleader camp down. Then they shut other stuff down, and they shut soccer down. And this time of year they're playing girls softball. So she shut down in about 4 things.
And that's what going on with your own family.
Right.
And I know that a lot of this shutdown stuff has been turned into a political argument. Absolutely. But on Thursday, actually, Republican governor and a Trump homer in Henry McMaster, the governor of South Carolina, he already came out Thursday and told people, look, if things don't get better, that there will be no college football in South Carolina, home of the Gamecocks, the Bulldogs, and those Clemson Tigers. And this is a Republican governor in a very football-friendly state already threatening that is a very likely scenario. And if it's happening in South Carolina, that's applicable to every southern state.
Well, it's surrounded by the same situation.
Yeah.
Georgia to the south, North Carolina to the north, Tennessee to the west, a little bit of Kentucky thrown in there. So it's everywhere.
It is. All right, we don't want to belabor the point. I think everybody's very aware that we're in an unprecedented spot in our nation's history, and we all want it out of here as fast as possible. And let's hope for the best.
Absolutely.
Jerry, I don't know if these guys are ever going to come arrest you for maybe, as we are showcasing right now, we are not social distancing. Maybe that time's coming soon where we're going to get locked up for breaking the 6-foot barrier.
Maybe centimeters or something.
But you've hinted before when you visited with me here on the Y'all Show about some of your previous experience with law enforcement. And also, since you and I have last been together in the flesh, we've seen the whole Floyd situation happen in Minneapolis and the whole movement to defund the police and things like that. As a guy who's been on the wrong end of the police from time to time, are you in favor of defunding the police?
Absolutely not. You know, without police, we're in a real mess. And
you have been arrested.
And I have been
You
arrested.
have been roughed up by police.
I have had handcuffs on these wrists more times than I can count.
Let me see those wrists close up. Hold on.
Are you going to see them again? And it takes a pretty good size handcuff to go around.
Yeah, that's pretty big.
Anyway, no, you know, every incident that I've had with police that's gone against me, all of them could have been prevented by me. You know, I feel like that no one has ever abused the situation. Maybe I had a bad attitude as a youth, but I can tell you right quick how to take a $25 fine and turn it into a tremendous fine that will teach you a lesson. And one of them goes to Georgia, the state of Georgia. But I'm going to start, I was riding down the highway in Mississippi. A highway patrolman pulled me over for speeding a little bit. And I was speeding a little bit, maybe 75 in a 65 zone. He pulls me over. I knew him. You know, it always helps to know someone.
You actually knew him?
I actually knew him. I was in an area of the Mississippi that I knew him. And he came around. He talked to me. He wanted to know what the hurry was. And I explained to him, I guess I really don't have one. I was actually working. I was in a company vehicle. And he went around and he noticed my inspection sticker was expired. And this man's father-in-law, daddy, is the only man to ever, the story goes, to pinch hit for Babe Ruth.
I was wondering where you were going with this story.
Yeah, that's where I was going. I had to throw a little bit of a curveball in there. So anyway, he came and he said, tell you what, Jerry, I'm going to do. I don't want to give you a moving violation. Your inspection sticker is out. That's when Mississippi had inspection stickers. It cost $5 to get one. You could get one anywhere. But they would run out every year and you had to redo. So mine was out by a week. He looked at it and he said, I'm just going to write you an inspection sticker violation and you can go on. So that's what he did. The fine was $25 if I would have handled it properly and paid it. I forgot it. I didn't intentionally forget it, but it was such a minor situation with me at the time, and so much was going on that I didn't pay it any attention.
And then later you were
later,
in Georgia. We've actually had you not too long ago tell us the story.
I don't know if I completed.
Okay, well, you told us about being arrested for an expired license in Douglasville, Georgia.
By not paying the inspection sticker, they pulled my driver's license, which I didn't have a clue that my driver's license were expired. So I'm covering for sports editor. I'm covering the SEC basketball tournament in Georgia Dome. So I'm staying just on the edge of Georgia. And after it's over that night, my son was with me in my vehicle, and the sports editor was with me in my vehicle. And everything was shut down. We made a turn up at the top of the hill, and they said there was a sign down on Interstate 20, that no right on red. I did a right on red. There was a policeman under the canopy. He come around, he checked my record, told me to put my arms behind me. He handcuffed me. no questions asked. He said, you're expired, you have an expired tag, you're out of state, we have to handcuff you and take you in. So he got my son out and he checked his credentials. He was okay to drive the vehicle. He carried me down to the police precinct. But he carried me to the police precinct. I was a little hot under the collar. However, I knew, that he was in control. It was his call, not my call.
Which I want to come back to this. You and I have had a conversation off the record about cops are always in control.
They're in control.
Even if you think you're in control.
If you think you're in control, you're not.
Okay.
But I've thought I would have been and hadn't been. but that's before this.
It doesn't matter how big or small the cop is, or how big or small you are.
It doesn't matter. You've got to do what he says do.
He or she.
He or she or whoever. And his mother could come up and he could deputize her.
Yeah.
And you better do what she says.
Okay.
So anyway, he takes me down to the police precinct and I'm handcuffed. Well, that seemed really odd. But he handcuffed me to an iron pole. He went from the floor to the ceiling. And then I want to bail out. And he says, you're out of state. We can't bail you out without a bail bondsman. I wanted a bail bondsman, but they wouldn't do it. Said it's got to be done locally. So I wait handcuffed all night to this bar, standing there. Well, finally the woman comes in and bailed me out. It was a $600 fine for that. So I got bailed out with my son. We all scraped up $600 and got me out, and we went up to a Shoney's to eat breakfast. While we're in there eating breakfast, and like I said, I was nice to the policeman because, I guess I was wrong with not paying the fine, and they was right in Mississippi for suspending my driver's license for not paying the fine. Well, we go in there and we're back there after we finish breakfast. I look up and this policeman walks in. And he talks to the clerk, and then the waitress comes back here and tells me, listen, this policeman had come in and said he felt really sorry about what he had to do, but that was the law and he had to do it. And he said, do you want a strawberry shortcake or something? This is breakfast. I've already had eggs and everything else to go. I said, no, that's fine, just let it go. I'll forgive him. So, I let that one go, but I'm handcuffed all night, which seemed just a little bit too much for a fine of that type. I would have sat very peacefully, in a recliner while I waited on them to bring someone in, but they didn't. So this goes on with me for 6 months, and here I am at fault again. I don't pay my fine. I go home, I paid the $600, and by the time I get home, I'm busy, I'm doing something else, and the next thing I hit a roadblock on 4th of July in a small town called Coffeyville. And they're at the railroad track, and there's no take a left or no take a right. And I knew I was in trouble. It hit me. And they had a car in front of me, and I was waiting, and I was trying to think of everything in the world to say or what I could do. But when he got me, he said, let me see your driver's license. He run a check on it. And he said, no good. He says, I'm going to have to take you to jail in the adjoining 2 towns. He called a Water Valley, and their jail was full. He called a Grenada, and their jail was full. And he said, all right, I got to handcuff you and take you over to the Coffeyville police station. And it's a small town of about 1,000. He says, I'm going to handcuff you to a chair or something over at the police station. So he did. And so the next day, I got out on another $600. So this $25 has ended up.
The original $25 ticket
cost me $1,200.
for an expired inspection sticker cost me
$1,200.
$1,200 in 2 different states.
2 different states.
What a bozo! I believe I'd be checking on that thing.
Arrested twice. So I never got mad at him. Later I met him. He become a policeman at Ole Miss. And I ran into him up there on the football field one night. I was covering a football game. And I said, don't I know you from arresting me in Coffeyville? And we laughed about it.
Oh, yeah.
That's the things, just go ahead along with them because I was wrong. And if I would have tried to fault it or done something like that, if I'd have tried to escape and run off and left my vehicle or something, that would have been a crazy thing to do. But that has happened to me on more than one occasion. But I've always tried to just understand that I'm probably at wrong, which I probably every time was. And I had a situation one time similar to that in Louisiana when I was only 18, and I passed a school bus in a curve in South Louisiana on Bayou Lafourche in Assumption Parish, Louisiana. I'd gone around the corner at a town called Lockport, and the roads cut, but before you get to there, it was above Napoleonville and Platenville, all these little towns. They got all Ville names, but there's about 8 of them there with a Ville, a Platenville, a Laverdeville, a Platenville, and Napoleonville.
Let me get my map out and make sure you're not lying to me.
No, I can tell you Assumption Parish, next to Ascension Parish, which is splits the river, splits it at Donaldsonville.
I've actually been down there with you, and I've seen Bayou Lafourche.
Okay.
So there is a Bayou Lafourche.
And there is all those other little towns too. So anyway, he pulled me over and he treated me pretty rough, and I didn't know why, because they call it grinding when they have a sugar cane season, when they're cutting sugar cane down.
Yeah.
So it's flat ground, and I could see 100 miles. So I passed that bus. It was in October. I passed that bus, and then he come after me, handcuffed me. He carried me to the police station, and he wanted to throw the book at me. But fortunately enough, the other policemen in there, I convinced them that I really didn't understand. I wasn't from down there. And they kept me over, and I become really good friends before I ever left that community with most of the police. But there's a case where if I'd have been a real smart aleck, and when he stopped me and I knew I didn't do it, I didn't think I'd done anything wrong. You can't pass in a curb, but there was no yellow line there. And I could see forever. But it was a school bus factor. He had a school bus wreck once upon a time where some school children had got hurt, maybe seriously, maybe even lost their life. That he worked that. So that was kind of his pet peeve, to catch anybody doing something similar to that.
Yeah.
So, that was another case. Now, if I would tell you about the cases where I've been at fault, I think I already have.
You told us a lot. Yeah, we don't want to hear about that.
Say all that stuff.
We got that already
I would fight back
on the record. But one thing I will say, Jerry, is we're talking to our Toccopola Storyteller here on the Y'all Show Independence Weekend edition. A lot of the times you've gotten into some hot water with law enforcement, and you now can go back and say, I was in the wrong, and I cooperated, and I didn't make an arse out of myself. I had to pay you do the crime, you pay the fine.
That's
and you've done that.
Right.
But from what I know about you, it seems like you're a pretty straight shooting guy and a pretty decent guy, except for some idiotic things I'm sure you've done in your life. But one thing, I think most of these cases where you've been in hot water with the law, I think you were sober.
Oh, I was sober. I don't drink,
I know you don't drink, and I don't think you do drugs. And I think a lot of these people that have been in the news in the last few years for encounters with the police, a lot of times they are under the influence. So do you think your experience would have definitely been different had you been under the influence in the past?
Oh, certainly, because one time, not to talk about football, but they carried me to jail downtown Memphis. And you know the address on Union.
201 Poplar.
It's Poplar, off of Union, right. Madison or somewhere in there. So anyway, the guy that checked you, if you had been drinking or were drunk, the guy with me, they checked.
And he was drinking.
He had been drinking some Rebel Yale. And then this was 1968, Archie Manning's first game. Ole Miss won 21-7.
Over the Memphis State Tigers.
Over Memphis State Tigers. And we was in a Memphis jail. But the guy, he was going to test me to walk the line and do all the sobriety test stuff. And the cop that had brought me down and arrested me said, hey, he's not drinking. He's sober as a judge. He's high on football. So that's just, you don't have to go through all that routine.
Lock him up, throw the key away if you're high on football.
That's kind of what they did. And that's what they should have done. But, but I didn't resist that or fight that. So one other time in Atlanta, and I could go on all night but one other time in Atlanta, I used to, looking at me now in this heavy set that I've developed, upper body growth, which is not a real muscle.
Arguably heavy set.
Yeah. I used to run marathons and 10Ks, and I went to run the Peachtree 10K in Atlanta. And I'd been at summer camp in the military at Camp Shelby, Mississippi. So I had a brand new Jeep then, and I drove the Jeep into Atlanta. And I had what they called a bikini top on. I had my main top folded in the back seat. Well, I backed in to check the route for the 10K the next morning. And when I backed in, this lady of the evening, or a good girl, I don't know what she was.
Just a working girl, trying to get through college, I'm sure.
Trying to get around. She sat down in the Jeep with me. And when she sat down in the Jeep with me, she started this honey bunny stuff, you know. Oh, you want to, you date or you do this and all that? Well, I said, no, the thing for you to do is go ahead and get out of my Jeep, and then that'd be the thing for you to do. And she said, well, you don't want to go somewhere to do something? No,
you don't want to date?
I want you out of here, and period. So it wasn't but just a second after that one of Atlanta's finest walked behind my Jeep and saw my Mississippi tag. And he came back around, and I could have got upset, but I didn't. He came back around and he looked at me and he said, let me tell you something. I see you Mississippi guys. You think you're going to come over here and take our Georgia women? This is not going to happen. He says, I want you to move this Jeep on. And it was a perfectly good place to park, legal as it could be. I'd walk down under the hill to Peachtree Park to see where the race was going to begin the next morning. But, you know, instead of saying, hey, you ain't got the right to do this or resist any, you know, I went on. And, you know, coincidentally, which it doesn't mean anything, this was a black policeman. And he said that to me. And I drove on off, minded my own business, and found another place to hide out. but you know, you've got to cooperate with the police.
Yeah.
I don't care if you're in Seattle in the middle of that mess out there, or if you're in Minneapolis, or if you're in Atlanta, where I was a couple of times. And I'm not going to bother you. I've got another small Atlanta story. Not even going to bring it up. But I mean, I could throw you New Orleans stories. I could throw you Dallas stories. I could throw you Oklahoma City. I could throw you Denver, Colorado stories.
You've been in encounters with law enforcement in all these places.
Some type, as far as a conversation about me maybe not doing exactly what they would want me to do. And you know, I kind of grew up doing what I kind of wanted to do. But let's just say that I might stretch that envelope, but I knew when to pull it back in.
Well, I'm glad that you're with us now and you haven't spent a long time incarcerated as a result of that. As we wrap up here, as we get ready for 4th of July 2020, we want to talk to Jerry about something he just referenced a few moments ago. And this is truly a all-American thing I'm going to talk to Jerry about. It's truly something that is quite nostalgic for most of us here in the South. But sadly, unfortunately, this has been declining, and it really is maybe a pastime, unfortunately. And I'm going to talk to Jerry and get his thoughts about this, and hopefully it won't be too emotional or too controversial, what I'm about to ask him about. Are you ready?
I'll hold it, yeah.
What do you think I'm going to ask you about?
I think it's probably going to be something to do with what's going on around the country today.
Well, this is kind of like that, yeah.
Yeah, I think it's going to probably be something with our Southern heritage.
Well, this is kind of, this is a Southern for sure.
And it may be directly at Mississippi.
Well, there is a very small element of it in Mississippi still today, but
it may be two groups that are branching out and making one big group.
I don't think that would apply.
How many times can I guess?
Jerry, I'm talking about Shoney's.
See, I may not even have been on course.
No.
You're talking about Shoney's when I turned down my
Shoney's.
Shortcake.
Yeah, Shoney's, because there's a handful of Shoney's. You talked about it a few minutes ago, but
yeah.
I think you just mentioned that a Shoney's not far from where you're currently living is likely seen its last day because of the coronavirus. There's still very few even open across America. A great company that was once spread across the entire Southeast, based out of Nashville for
Shoney's Big Boy.
For most of the franchise history, if not still today. I haven't checked lately who owns Shoney's, but who did not like going to Shoney's? If you are older than 40 years old, at one point in your life, most every place in the South had a Shoney's nearby, and boy, was it a great place to go.
You're right, and I'm unfortunately over 40.
Oh, you're going to say you're the new big boy.
Well, I am also that, but you know, the first Shoney's I ever went to was like going to Disney World. You see the big boy out front, you go in, and the first thing you see are the strawberry shortcake pies, You know, they had a section all just for that, and it was like a happening.
Where was this?
The first one I ever went in was probably on Elvis Presley Boulevard. I had an aunt that was
in Memphis.
Yeah, just up from Graceland, and it's torn down now. It's where the new hotel is. But anyway, the next one would have been at Hattiesburg at Camp Shelby, and it's still there.
Is it?
Now they've taken the big boy down. There's one in Grenada that I think is not coming back. I've been told it may not come back. They've lost so much money during this pandemic that they probably won't come back, because there's another building similar to it directly across the street that was a steakhouse. And what they've done, they've brought it back as a similar to Shoney's food type situation. And it's been open, but I see it's opened back up. But Shoney's is as dead as it was never there. I mean, it's no traffic, no cars, no lights, no nothing. So I get, with things back all around it, I get the feeling it's not coming back, and I've been told that. So if you go on into those kind of things like that, and Shoney's Big Boys, they're all over the country. I know I-81.
Well, they have been.
Yeah.
Whether they're still out there.
I-81 in Sandusky, Ohio. And me and my grandson was eating in there, and a car had a wreck and knocked a light pole down and took the Shoney's Big Boy out. But and that hadn't been that many years ago. And then if you come back through Indiana, I saw a couple of the old Shoney mascot.
Well, that's at Frisch's.
Yeah. Well, I saw a couple at an antique place for sale.
Ah, okay.
That had been taken up.
Okay.
And I don't know why they would take that up, take the Shoney Big Boy up, because that's kind of like, you know, that's like taking a sports name away from a team. You know?
Wouldn't want to do that.
No, we don't want to do that. But they started this a pretty good while ago, obviously. Yeah. But I think we're going to lose. We're going to lose some businesses. And we're going to lose some mom and pop stores.
Yeah,
I don't see how they can hang on.
Most Shoney's, of course, are corporate.
Yeah, corporate.
And I feel for them. I feel for everybody that's had a hard time. We started out this conversation with our Toccopola Storyteller discussing how the coronavirus, sadly, unfortunately, looks like it's not going away anytime soon. And unfortunately, for those of us, again, who I think it was the very first hamburger I ever ate was the Shoney's All-American Burger that came with the American flag on the top of it. It is a great pastime. And plus, gosh, their vanilla ice cream, their sundae, they had the hot fudge sundae. It was just...
Well, strawberry shortcake was hard.
Well, the hot fudge sundae, the little container it came in, was such a great memory, again, for many of us, not saying everybody, but most of us who had a Shoney's not too far away. And I happen to be fortunate enough to live and work in Nashville for many years, and there were lots of Shoney's there. There's still some there now today in the Nashville area, and a great company that we hope is going to somehow survive as well as all the other companies. But I couldn't let you say the word Shoney's without letting me.
No.
As we have a red, white, and blue couple of days here, a truly great American company, a truly great Southern-based company, and boy, what great memories many of us have. Jerry, you got big plans? Right. You going to go shoot some fireworks somewhere?
No, you know, I've never been too big on shooting fireworks. So I think just my wife and I, matter of fact, I'm babysitting. And I don't know what's going to happen to them, but my daughter and her family are going to Florida for the 4th. They already had the house leased and rented and everything. And they've got 2 puppies.
Puppies?
Well, one is about 4 months old.
Oh my gosh!
And but it's grown up. Looks like it is Lassie or somebody. It's almost that big now, but it's still a puppy, gnawing and chewing. And then I got another smaller dog that I'm going to have to keep. And they said if they go outside, they got to be on a leash and blah blah blah. So I'm going to be my hands are going to be pretty full, looks like. And we're going to pick them up tomorrow. They're leaving tomorrow, and I'm going to pick them up tomorrow from Grenada. All
right. Well, it sounds like you've got an exciting holiday weekend planned. Jerry Short, our Toccopola Storyteller, right here, as he's been our guest here at Yall.com and the Yall Show. To each and every one of you out there in Yall.com world, have a great 4th of July 2020. And we'll have Jerry back on with us again pretty soon here in the month of July. And we'll keep cranking out lots of great content. Hey, don't forget to like us here on our Facebook feed. Yes, simple. Just go down there and hit the like button. And subscribe to our, if you're catching us on YouTube, please subscribe to our Y'all Show YouTube channel. Very important. We're trying to grow this thing and be bigger and bigger, just like a firework. We're going to explode here in the next couple of days, and we want you to be part of the Yall.com movement. Have a great, great 4th of July. Jon Rawl signing off, and this has been the Y'all Show, talk with a Southern accent.
Good job.